So today's video is going to be about how to connect Voicemeeter Potato to Adobe Audition, and the same principle can be used to connect it to other audio packages, but I've got Adobe Audition and I'm going to show the way to do that. Okay, so once you've connected it to your audio package, you'll be able to do a variety of things beyond the functions that are available in Voicemeeter Potato and beyond the things that are available within OBS, if that's what you were going to do with it. So you may want to connect Voicemeeter to Audition so you can record in Audition. On the other hand, you might want to use it in a live environment, such as with streaming, where you want to do some processing on the audio before it gets sent to your stream. Now, OBS can do a lot of audio processing within itself, so you might not need to do this, but there's a few things that it can't do very easily, and I'm going to show you how to do a couple of those here. I should say I'm by no means an audio expert, but you can find a lot of decent videos on YouTube about Audition specifically. Okay, diving into it then. The first thing you need to do on the Voicemeeter side is you need to go to the menu, and then you need to go to the settings. Now here you'll see all of the channels. These are the inputs which relate to these hardware and software inputs here. So you can see in 1 there, in 2. See, these are stereo. So you've got a stereo signal, so 1 and 2, 1 and 2. So it's left and right, left and right. And as you can see, up to there, they're in pairs. 6, 7, and 8 relate to these software ones. And you can see that they've got 8 channels on them. These here, as you can see, there's like a joined up box. These 2 boxes are joined up, and then you click them and they illuminate, and there's like a tap off to the side. So best way to imagine this, from your microphone input, in this case this is my Shure microphone that you can hear, that you can see moving up and down here. It comes in here and it goes down in there through this fader, and then it gets sent wherever I send it over here, and then that goes out to a device or one of the software outputs, as I've explained in previous videos. However, if you uncheck this little thing here on channel 2, what will happen is before it gets here, it goes off to wherever your audio package is, and then it comes back in. And it does come back in pre-fade, which is useful because wherever you send it, it comes back in here, and then you can still do whatever you wanted to do inside. And that is actually quite useful. And that's different to if you were to send it to an actual physical audio interface. For example, in my Studio 1810C, which this is connected through, I could connect that directly to Audition, but any inputs can go into Audition, but the outputs would go as if they'd gone to the output section. So if it was an equivalent, it would be going straight to these outputs, and you can't use any of this routing. But with Voicemeeter, it comes back in before the input. It's quite clever. So anyway, what we'll do, I'll just leave these 4. I won't get into all of these. You can do it with all of them, but in most cases you're not going to really need to do any processing on your software sources. I'm just going to focus on the mic for the time being. So I'll show you how to set up Audition then. So first, you see, you open it up. If by default you get this little how to use thing, and this will be what you see. This is the sort of default view on it. So what you want to do, you're going to set up a new multi-track session. It doesn't matter what you call it. I'll leave it as Untitled Session. For this, you want to make sure it's the same as whatever your microphone is. I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter that much for streaming, but your mic will probably either be 44 as it is there, or 48, and you just want to make sure that it matches all the way through. The rest of it you don't really have to worry too much about. I usually put that on stereo. Template, just I leave the none on, and you get this where you get all these tracks. Now you don't actually, we're not going to need all these tracks. So now we want to set up the hardware, so we want to connect it. And remember, Voicemeeter it's treated as a piece of hardware by Audition. So we can go to here, click on that where it says master there. You can actually do it on any of them, doesn't have to be that one. Audio hardware. This is already set to ASIO. Most likely you'll be set on MME. So I'm just going to change that over to MME to show you how this works. It's only not working at the moment, but it doesn't really matter for the example. I can click an actual hardware device here, or software device. So I can click my mic and then I can click an output. However, you can only use one, which is really quite annoying. So that's on MME. So we've got mic 3.4, and then the output is whatever the output is. So if I click on OK there, you'll see in the stereo inputs, this is just the default one, and in the outputs, it's just the default one. So that's not really very useful for mixing and doing different bits of processing. So switch to the ASIO one. So this is the driver for my audio interface, but I don't want that. If I leave it on that, and I'll tell you what, I'll show you how the inputs work on that first. So you can see all my mic inputs, mono there. As you see, these are 1, 2, 3, 4. But if you look at the stereo, you only get 1, then 3, because it's stereo. 1 and 2 is the other side of it. And in the outputs, and this is what I was talking about before, you only see the outputs. You don't see the inputs again, which is different to Voicemeeter. So we'll go back into there, ASIO, and we'll select Voicemeeter. These cause confusion. If you're using Voicemeeter Potato, click Voicemeeter Potato insert, click yes. Okay, so now you'll see those. And do you recognize those? Let's get Voicemeeter open again. Those match these. So our input. So we've got the microphone, and remember my microphone is a mono input. And I'll just switch that back to mono, just so you can see it as being mono there. So it's only on the one channel, only on the left. Okay, so we first need to select the left of channel 3 from Voicemeeter, which is there. Now this time when we go here, you can see, and I'm not going to do this now, but you can see it's still the inputs that are listed, not the outputs like it was when I showed you my audio interface. So I'm going to leave it off for a second because I just want to show you something. Even though I've connected it there, it's still coming through here and I haven't selected an output, so I've not sent it back there yet. However, when I click this little record button, and then you see it's now gone, because Audition is now taking that signal, but it isn't sending it back, so it's not here. How do we get it to send it back? So what we'd want to do is, in a normal circumstance, we could do whatever processing we want to do and send it back, and then we'll send it back with this output, which you can set to the same. We can do mono channel 3 left, and then it comes back in. Oh no, it doesn't. What we need to do is monitor that output. So we click on that monitor button there, the I. Don't know why I is for monitor, but it is. And there it is, back where it was. Now we haven't actually done anything with it other than send it over and then send it back again. But I'm going to show you a couple of other things which are quite useful. So first of all, something we can do, instead of choosing that mono left number 3, we could choose stereo 3. And there we go. We put it in stereo. Now when it comes back in, it's in stereo. So this is in mono. It hasn't been down mixed, but it's come back in stereo. So we've got both left and right. So that's good. Now, I'm going to turn that off for a second. Put that back on to mono as it was. Now, what I've done here, you see how I've got my Audio Technica 2035 and I've got that monitoring this other port here. That's channel 1 and 2 on my audio interface. However, I have actually unplugged that and I put it into channel 4 on this audio interface, but the gain is currently turned right down so you can't hear it. What we can do, so there's nothing on channel 4 currently, but that mic is plugged in. So now I'm going to turn up channel 4 on the audio interface, turn the gain right up, and you should see as I'm talking. No, and do you know why? Because it's been sent out to Audition and it's not coming back. So let me give you an example, the example again. So we'll go back down here, system settings, and I'm going to not send that one to Audition. There you go, and it immediately appears. So that's, you can't hear it because I'm not recording that channel. Now let me send it back out to Audition, so it should disappear from there. You'll see it'll fade off, but we know it's going. And this time, now I could change this here to stereo 3. So that would be channel 3 and 4, and then that could be sent back out to 3 and 4. But that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to do something a little bit more clever than that. So currently, channel 3 comes in and goes back out to the same place. But now let's put that in stereo as we did before. Now on this second track down here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to record mono channel 4. So that's my AT2035. I'm going to press the R and the I, and now you can see it's now appearing here as well. You can see that signal from that microphone is coming in. But where are we going to send it? Now I'm going to cross it. I'm going to send it to stereo 1. So back in here, now it's appeared here. So back to my imaginary drawing, you've got on channel 3 coming in here, you've got my Shure mic. On channel 4, you've got my Audio Technica mic. Both are being sent out to Audition, and channel 3 has been turned into a stereo signal and sent back as a stereo signal here, coming back in and going through that fader. Channel 4 has been sent out, sent back again, turned into a stereo signal and sent here. Now I can uncheck that mono and you can still see that it's there. It's muted. It doesn't matter if I unmute it because it's not actually being recorded. So there you go. I've separated. Now, why have I done that? Well, what's the point? What's the advantage of that? Well, my audio interface has got 4 XLR ports on it. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. So I can keep my mics separate. However, one of the lower, I think the bottom one in the range, and audio interfaces from other manufacturers as well, only have 2 XLR ports on them, and they're channel 1 and 2. So if you've got 2 microphones, you can't separate them because they're recorded they're on 1 stereo pair. So this allows you to do that. Now there's possibly other ways of doing it, and I've seen examples where people just run cables round and things like that. But this is a good way of doing it. So anyway, that's the first thing I was going to show you, how to separate your mics out. Right, what else can I do? Right, well, you can add lots of effects. So a good one, now my previous audio interface was really staticky and really noisy. So one of the things that you've got is this noise reduction, and adaptive noise reduction is really quite good. So you can add that here. High quality mode, it uses more CPU, but from what I can tell, if you've got a CPU that was made anytime recently, it will be fine. I assume that this option is from when CPUs weren't as good as they are. But my older CPU had no trouble doing it. This, you don't really need to worry about too much about these, just for recording your microphone. This top one though, with my AT2035, I push it all the way to the top, and with my Shure, I just leave it. So the dynamic mic doesn't need as much noise reduction as the condenser mic, and the condenser mic picks up everything. So, you know, the hum of a computer, birds tweeting outside, cars driving by the end of the street, all sorts of stuff. So it's much more useful. It is much more useful for a condenser mic than it is for a dynamic mic. And that's, I suppose, it's an alternative to using a gate. You've probably seen people talking about using a gate. You can use it as well as a gate, and Audition does have a noise gate. There's lots of other stuff in here. You've got your EQ, so you can do these EQ that's like a hardware style EQ, like you get on a mixer, where you can just move these fixed frequencies about. Just remove that effect. You've got the other type of equalizer, parametric equalizer, where you move the frequencies around like this, and you can move like what's cut and what's boosted and things like that. You might remember there's a similar thing to that built into Voicemeeter. Yeah, and then there's lots of other stuff here. There's one that you might find useful. You can do it in OBS, but you can do it here as well. Is Sidechain, a audio ducker. Now, what you could do, you could route your music in here, and you can route your microphones in here, and have the music reduce when the microphones are being spoken on. So on a stream, the music plays loud. When you start talking, the music drops in volume so they can hear you speak. It's quite complicated and can be done in Audition, in OBS, probably easier. But if you decided to make this part of your workflow, then it might be, you might want to just do it all in the same place. What else is there to say about this? You do need to save this as a file. So we'll say, you know, we can save what we've done. It doesn't sit as like a static sort of panel that you can open. It's like a Word document, but it's this. So what I tend to do is when I save the file, rather than, you know, going to Audition and then open Recent or whatever, what I do is I find the file on the computer, and then create a shortcut on the desktop to it, so I can just double click it and it opens up. Be aware, if you fiddle around with some of your audio settings, it will just break, and you're going to have to come in and reset up all your hardware here, in there again. It's not a big deal. Also, don't go too mad here with lots of different effects, because it can add latency, and that'll be a problem if you're streaming. Final thing, you can see that adaptive noise reduction is on the first mic, but it's not on the second mic. You can add one, but those are per track. All those different effects and things are per track. So really, that's probably it. Really, something to note is, I'm just going to show you. As you can see, both the microphones are recording now. Now, if I take off the monitor, they've stopped being sent back. However, when you close the application that's linked to Voicemeeter, in this case Audition, I'm going to say, do you want to save? And I'll say no. And they're back. See, they're back there. We've got L and R. As soon as the thing that's linked onto that little tap, as I showed over here, where that's tapping off to, disappears, it just rejoins it in the back in here. So you don't have to come back in here and change it every time. So you can have this just works without any of the effects and any of the things that Audition is doing for you. You can have that just run. And then when you open Audition, then all the extra functionality just kicks in. You don't have to fiddle around with having like two different setups. So it's quite, so that's quite good. As you can see there now, both my mics are now here. While I've got those two mics on one channel, if you down mix to mono, it does record both. This is something I'm not, as I said, I'm not an audio expert, but both channels are encompassing that. That isn't just channel 3 gets spread out across channel 3 and 4. Channel 3 and 4 both get spread across channel 3 and 4. And you can, and if you want to evidence that yourself. Just plug your mic into channel 4 and click the mono button, and you'll see it. See that it spreads across. So that is the signal from both my mics down mixed into mono. I think that's it. I hope you found that useful. If you have any questions about what I've shown you, then feel free to put a comment. Also, follow the channel if you want to catch up on the other videos, and check out my Mixer and Twitch channel. If you've got any serious questions about Audition, don't ask me. I'll try and find some links to some decent people who know what they're doing on that, and put them below. But anyway, good luck with that, and catch up soon.